Over $100 billion in combined quarterly profit, the single most profitable quarter in South Korea's corporate history. Samsung surged over 1,800% in operating profit. SK Hynix jumped 557%, two back-to-back record earnings, and then, in less than 48 hours, both stocks collapsed. This wasn't a bad earnings report. It wasn't a global recession. So how did two of the world's most profitable AI giants trigger a multi-billion-dollar market crash? A flawed market structure, a 2x leverage trap, or is something much bigger about to hit Wall Street next? Today, we're breaking down the paradox now hanging over this market. Is the Korea AI trade really over? Before we start the video, a quick note. This video is for educational purposes only and not financial advice. Let's put the actual numbers on the table because they're almost hard to believe. Samsung Electronics posted operating profit of 89.5 trillion won for the quarter ending June 30th. That's roughly $61 billion, up 1,814% year over year. Revenue hit 171.5 trillion won, up 130%, both records. SK Hynix posted revenue of 79.32 trillion won and operating profit of 60.54 trillion won, about $41 billion, at a staggering 76% operating margin. Net profit, boosted by gains from its Kioxia stake, came in near 94 trillion won, the single largest quarterly profit any Korean company has ever reported. These are not disappointing numbers dressed up to look good. These are two of the best corporate earnings quarters in the history of the Korean stock market. And both stocks sold off anyway. Samsung fell 6.9% the day it reported. SK Hynix fell 9.6% the day it reported. So what's actually going on here? The answer isn't in the earnings reports at all. It's in the market structure sitting underneath them. And that's where this story actually starts. Here's the structural fact that explains everything else in this video. As of June 30th, 2026, Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix together made up roughly 60% of the entire KOSPI index. Two companies. 60% of Korea's national stock market. That weighting was around 40% just 2 years earlier. It climbed as the AI memory boom sent both stocks vertical. Goldman Sachs actually put a number on how fragile this became. Their analysts warned that if the combined weight of these two stocks rose just one more percentage point, foreign funds bound by diversification rules under the U.S. Investment Company Act would be mechanically forced to sell roughly $2 billion worth of holdings. Not because they wanted to, but because the math of their own mandates required it. When two stocks become the market stops trading on the broader economy. It trades on those two stocks' daily moves, amplified by every fund, every index product, and every leveraged instrument built on top of them. And in 2026, Korea built a lot of those. In the spring of 2026, Korean regulators approved single-stock leveraged ETFs tied directly to Samsung and SK Hynix, products designed to deliver twice the daily move of the underlying stock. Here's the mechanical detail most retail investors never think about. To maintain that 2x exposure every single day, these funds have to rebalance daily, buying more exposure after a gain, cutting exposure after a loss. Traders call this a short gamma profile. On the way up, it means the fund's own rebalancing adds extra buying pressure on top of the stock's natural rally. On the way down, it does the opposite. It forces selling into a falling market, accelerating the very decline it's reacting to. Retail investors poured more than 13.8 trillion won, roughly $9.2 billion IDs, into these products within about 2 months of their launch. And because Samsung and SK Hynix already made up 60% of the index, these leveraged funds weren't just amplifying two stocks. They were amplifying the entire Korean stock market at the same time. That's the mechanism. A 2x button that, once enough money sits behind it, doesn't just track the market, it starts to move it. To understand why so much retail money chased 2x leverage, you have to look at what young Korean investors are actually saving for. The average apartment in Seoul now costs roughly 1 billion won, around $730,000, after prices surged nearly 19% in early 2026 alone. That's now estimated at somewhere between 15 and 20 times the median household income in the city, before taxes, before living costs. For a generation watching that ladder move further out of reach every year, the stock market stopped being just an investment. It became the fastest available vehicle for closing that gap. And when the destination feels urgent, a product promising double the daily return looks less like a gamble and more like a shortcut. That's not a criticism of anyone's judgment. It's the actual economic backdrop that turned a niche derivative product into a mass retail phenomenon in a matter of weeks. The KOSPI hit its all-time high of 9,385.59 points on June 19, 2026. Roughly 6 weeks later, on July 28th and 29th, the index triggered a market-wide circuit breaker on 2 consecutive trading days, something that had never happened in the exchange's history. In just those 2 sessions, approximately 864.5 trillion won, about $608.7 billion, was wiped off the Korean stock market's total value. The leveraged products built on top of Samsung and SK Hynix took the worst of it. The Codex SK Hynix single stock leverage ETF fell more than 80% from its June 23rd peak. The equivalent Samsung product fell almost 75% from its early June high. Across the broader 41-day stretch from the June high to July 30th, roughly 1.2 million retail accounts received margin calls and about 340,000 accounts were forcibly liquidated. This is the part that connects back to our hook. SK Hynix and Samsung weren't reporting bad numbers. They were reporting the best numbers in their history, while a leverage structure built directly on top of their stock price was collapsing under its own daily rebalancing mechanics. Korean regulators moved fast. New rules cap any individual investor's leveraged ETF holdings at 20% of their total portfolio. The minimum cash deposit required to trade these products was tripled, from 10 million won to 30 million won, around $20,000, and moved up to take effect July 31st ahead of schedule. Stocks, bonds, and other ETFs no longer count toward that deposit. It has to be cash. But regulation aimed at one product tends to redirect the money rather than remove it. As the rules tightened, Korean retail investors, known locally as Seohak ants, pivoted straight into U.S.-listed leveraged products that weren't covered by the new domestic rules. SOXL, the triple-leveraged U.S. semiconductor ETF, became their single largest overseas buy, with net purchases topping $2.4 billion in July alone. TQQQ, the triple-leveraged NASDAQ 100 fund, jumped into their top holdings as well. Here's the twist worth sitting with. Reporting from early August shows Korean investors bought roughly $4.7 billion of U.S. stocks over the prior 2 months, and the value of those holdings had already fallen by about 50 trillion won. The leverage habit didn't end when Korea regulated it. It just crossed the Pacific. Risk 1. This isn't necessarily over. As of today, August 3rd, the KOSPI fell another 5.12% to around 6,257, down roughly 22% over the past month, even after a record one day, near 18% rebound on July 31st. Volatility of this kind doesn't resolve in a straight line. Risk 2. Not everyone reads this as a warning. Morgan Stanley has actually upgraded Korean equities to overweight, calling the leverage-driven sell-off largely technical rather than fundamental, and projecting significant further upside. Analysts remain genuinely split on whether the worst is behind this market or still ahead of it. Risk 3. The underlying AI demand story hasn't changed. Both companies' HBM order books remain tight into 2027 by their own guidance. The crash was a market structure event layered on top of a real earnings story. The two things are not the same, and conflating them is exactly the mistake this video is trying to help you avoid. Risk 4. Concentration risk isn't unique to Korea. It's just more visible there because 2 stocks are 60% of one index. Investors anywhere holding concentrated positions in a small number of AI-linked names carry a version of the same structural risk. Here's the frame to take away from all of this. What happened in Korea was not a verdict on Samsung or SK Hynix as companies. Both just posted the best quarters in their history. What happened was a verdict on what occurs when a market becomes structurally dependent on 2 stocks, and then layers daily rebalancing leverage on top of that dependency. That's a mechanism, not a prophecy, but it's a mechanism worth understanding if you hold concentrated AI positions anywhere, including in the U.S., where a handful of mega-cap names now drive an outsized share of index returns. Korea didn't prove the AI trade is over. It proved that leverage and concentration can turn even a genuinely strong earnings story into a violent mechanical sell-off. And that's a lesson with an audience well beyond Seoul. That's the full breakdown of Korea's KOSPI crash, record earnings, a record crash, and the leverage mechanics that connected the two. If this helped you understand the difference between a company's fundamentals and a market structure, hit like it. Drop a comment. Do you think this is a Korea-only story or an early warning for concentrated AI trades everywhere else? I read everyone. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. I'm John A.G. I'll see you in the next one.